Thank you for the very warm and welcoming message. And my desire today is to really impact you. I'm not here to impress. We can do a whole lot of things about impressing, but number one, you need to know that you are important to me. Number two, you need to know that your time, your energy, your effort, you've blocked out a certain time in a program to commit yourself to not listen, because that's a webinar. We present a synapses. A synapses is the place in the brain. So that's a neuron, and then it has these little tentacles, and there's about 100 million of the neurons like that, and there's about 78 billion, trillion, tentacles. And these tentacles are like tubes. They don't connect, and the energy flows through the neuron down there, and then it has to pass, and that little gap between the two is called a synaptic gap. It's a transfer of energy, it's a transfer of information, it's a transfer of intelligence, a transfer of creativity, a transfer of chemical. And that is what it's all about. I'm paying attention to coach you, so please get a piece of paper ready. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to offer you a special offering to coach you further in today's particular subject. So welcome to the neuroscience and neuroplasticity of interpersonal relationships. But interpersonal relationships, if I was Yoda, I would say disturbance in the force there is. Not all relationships go well, whether it's marriage, whether it's friendship, whether it's whatever, even in business. The pawpaw is in the air most of the time. The fan is on all of the time. And all we're waiting for is for the two to connect. And then as leaders, we look, and managers, we're going, oh my goodness, what's happening here? And you have now pawpaw in the force field of interpersonal relationships. You and I have a choice. Now, things are changing at unimaginable speed. The old models of yesterday that I used to lecture MBA students on in university and business colleges that invited me, the models that I'm going to share with you are old. But I'm going to share with you the latest models based on neuroplasticity and neuroscience. So if you're still busy with the old models, you are academically bound and you're handcuffed, because those models, nobody understands them, not even the people that lecture them. And you've got to be a psychologist or psychiatrist, or you've got to be a psychic to be able to work with people with those old particular models. So let's have a look at one of them. Please take note that we'll be sending you, and here is my email, bill.price@mead.com. Please take note of that, write it down, because near the end of the presentation, the first 5 people that send the emails to me will get a special offer, and then from 6 onwards, 6 to 20 will get a great offer, but not as great as the first one. So it's bill.price@me.com. So when there's a disturbance in the force, what do you do? What do you do when you as a leader are paying attention to stuff is happening? I want us as a team to achieve our goals. And you have this frustration thing that's happening in the team. It's like now there's a disturbance. Someone is unhappy. Someone is not focusing. Someone is doing their own thing. Someone is disengaged. And there are many, many reasons why people disconnect in this wonderful force called communication connection. Now, in our neurology that has been inbreathed in us from creation, That's the neurology that contains intelligence, intentionality, interconnectivity. It's already there. So you don't have to redesign connection between people. So disconnection is actually a fallacy, a myth. You can't disconnect from people. You'll always be in connection with people. Even if you disconnect, that connection will be felt empirically and negatively anyway. So the old models that academics use is this Jurassic Park model of communication. I can remember when I first lectured this model, it goes something like this. But it's so amazing how academics can academify models and make it sound amazing, but to make it work doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect. So it starts off, here's an environment. So all of us are in an environment. The environment is called VUCA, and we are in a VUCA environment, volatile, uncertain, complexity, and a lot of ambiguity. Now, that's impacting, the economics is impacting our business. And we as managers and leaders have to protect our team and the context in which our team work so that they can focus on the strategy and the targets and the results that the shareholders want. And they want that at all costs. So the Jurassic Park model of here's a communicator being impacted in the context and in the environment, and now they have to communicate with that person. So it could be a leader with a team member, could be a leader with a line manager, it could be an executive with a line manager, could be, but there's two people involved. And where you've got people, you've got personality and ego all the time. And managers and leaders who are trying to manage their teams based on psychological models, the ego is always there to mess things up. And you have to be a damn psychologist to get it all right with people. So you've got to read them, and 9 out of 10, your reading is a guess. So because we've not been trained, we've not been trained to read people's psychology. So here's a communicator, something happens, needs a message. So he encodes or she encodes it internally, then sends the message verbally or via email or cell phone, and the medium is the message, the content of the message. The communicator, who is now called the receiver, something happens on the inside which these academics call decoding. Now they've got to decode this message. So ABCD is the message. They decode it into EAFG. So immediately there is mismatch. Then, based on the mismatch in this decoding experience of the person, because they assume and they are bound in their comfort zone, they're bound in their cognitive biases and all of that, now they send a message. And that message, again, is the medium. And this person receives it, compares it with the previous message, possibly, if they're lucky, with an outcome. And then they send feedback. This person takes feedback, decodes the feedback, sends feedback that way. And this is a never-ending loop of misconnection. There is negative energy in the force. There is misunderstanding in the force called connection. So we are not a mind, and we are not a personality in essence, but we are people who have been inbreathed with the ability to be able to connect and communicate. So the context in which our teams are within an environment, so the context or culture in which your work is who, what, when, where, and how. Never why. So why is a word that you must scrap out of your communication from today. Don't ever, 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 ever ask the question why. And I know Simon Sinek has written a book on it, Find Your Why, but neurologically, we can prove that when the conscious mind goes to try and find the solution to the word why, it has to open up too many boxes in memory, in wherever, and it has to make deductions that are huge. So why is what we call in neuroscience a pie-sized question. So why are you late? Why are you happy? Why are you joyful? Why are you not rich? Why are you not achieving your goals? Why? All right, now, all of this that this model does is create lack. So you're fighting an uphill battle with this particular model because there's a whole lot of things that are missing here. Meaning is missing. Purpose is missing. End result is missing because you must communicate with the purpose with an end result in mind. And it's lacking because we're not in a soulfully alive climate or culture or context, but we have been given, and this is where the frustration in our biology is, we have been given intelligence in our neuroplasticity, the way our conscious mind thinks, creates energy and questions and feelings and actions and decisions. It's also intentional and it's also interconnected. So our biology has been inbreathed with neuroplasticity. So your heart, your brain is simply hardware. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel, it doesn't have emotions. Your brain is simply hardware. It's like a trampoline, it's like a sieve through which it allows and creates the opportunity for the DOS program called neuroplasticity and conscious awareness to be able to do all its functional work within the human biology that keeps us physically alive. So welcome to neuroscience. So neuroscience is the umbrella, and that is the basic ability for our nervous systems to function and to switch on and switch off. It has a life of its own. It has an intelligence of its own. The one nervous system we can partly control, the other nervous system, thank God, we can't. And that's what makes us human. So neuroscience has a whole lot of subsections to it, and it's the newest form of psychology. So you've got neuroscience education, neuroscience spirituality, neuroscience psychology, neuroscience chemistry, and the synapses that I'm presenting is the neuroscience of things: leadership, management, communication, customer connection, selling, marketing, interpersonal relationships, culture, and rapid research. So all of that falls under the reality of neuroscience. Now, when you double click on neuroscience, you get the DOS program, and that's usually the zeros and the ones. And within those zeros and ones is neuroplasticity. So it's the ability that my mind and consciousness has to be able to create thought and questions and energy and feelings and kinesthetic connection and design of decisions, then actions, and then, of course, reaction because of consequences. But here's another interesting model. I designed this while I was studying brain and while I was studying neuroscience. So communication takes place within this bubble called soul, life, or culture. And you've always got it. So it's the connected, intentional, intelligent energy between two people. And we're going to call that our soul life. So for this model to work, you have to be aware and conscious to be able to calibrate. So you don't go into relationships blinded and unconscious. Sadly, 96% of most of the teams in companies are unconscious. 96% of couples that are either engaged or married or connected, 96% are unaware of where they are in their relationship. They think because they can talk. Yes, we connect a lot. It's nonsense. You are not connected because you are unaware and you are unconscious in your interpersonal relationships. Awareness and consciousness is a state of being and a state of mind that you need to train your consciousness to be able to go into. And you can calibrate it, you can measure it, you can feel it, and you can experience it. So I'd like you now to take a deep breath with me and feel the air going through your nostrils. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, I want you to wiggle your toes in your shoes. Breathe in. Wiggle your toes. Now you are conscious. You only became aware when I gave the brain and the consciousness the instruction to pay attention to the airflow in the nostrils and the airflow out and the moving of the feet. Otherwise, you were in an unconscious state of learning to this point. All right, shoulders back, pull them back, and look at the model. You'll be getting a copy of it. So this is the portal to a successful, connected, intelligent relationship. First of all, the foundation is based on personal values and beliefs. That's all in the past. Nobody goes into a relationship without basing it on the past, basing on their beliefs. You can't help but share what you believe. You can't help but share what you value or important to you. But then the reason why we move closer up to go into this portal here and go through it, we pay the price by defining what are our values. So you'll find there are 2 or 3 values that your team has. So whatever they are, the value of productivity, the value of teamness itself, the value of interconnectedness. Those could be values that bind your team together. And you cannot go through this portal until you've got that. Then you move on this road, and on that road, you're moving towards there. Everybody's moving towards there. It's a better place. It's a smarter place to be, and all of us are paying attention to that. But there needs to be rules of engagement that are consciously followed, and the rules of engagement are found within this particular portal. So you cannot have a relationship without 2 very critical pillars, and that is effort and time. So when you look at your diary, you meet every week, every month, whatever, and so you're doing the time thing. The question is there purpose in that time? Is there in that time? So if you don't have time plus purpose, you've got a meeting for the sake of a meeting, blah, 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 blah. Then you need to put effort. Everybody that comes in needs to switch off their damn phones and pay respect. You're not that important that you must keep your cell phone on because you think that either an angel or the CEO is going to suddenly call you. Just put in a message that says, I'm in a meeting from this time to this time, and I will get back to you. Control the flow of people's communication to you, and stop thinking that you have to be contacted 24 out of 24. Silly thought. Disrespectful, you bring it in a meeting. Even if you take your phone and turn it upside down and you open up your laptop, you're not there. Now you're focused on something else. Who knows? You're doing emails, you're sending a Facebook message to Aunt Sally's got bunions. So you build this portal across here with an archway, and the first building brick is enjoy, fun, collaborate, and co-create. How are you doing on that? And you use that as a measurement. How much fun are we having? Are we co-collaborating? Are we having fun, etc.? The second building block is provoke. You need to provoke people in a team. You've got to say, come on, we're not reaching, we're not achieving, we're not paying attention to, and provoking is speaking to the best in people. It's not blaming, shaming, damning. Then you need to confront. Say, guys, focus here. we need to pay attention, where you as a leader and manager speak with authority and with authoritative voice and tone and go, we are not achieving our goal, so can we please have your full attention? Can I ask you please to write down what you believe is the solution? So stop asking people in a brainstorm to sit around a table and blab and splab and somebody write it on a flip chart. That's a Jurassic Park model. Have people to write down their answers, then share, and let everybody in the room share that information. But that's a hack that we're going to teach you. Then we need to be able to challenge people. And challenge is an ability to look at a person's potential where they are not yet and go, you believe that, I believe that, and let's look at a way of how can I support you to move towards the best version of you. So you can be good at, you can be best at, but then you can be great at in terms of your potential. The middle section, that middle piece holds all together, and it's a word called love. Now, in management today, we have soft skills and hard skills, but by love, I'm speaking about a very powerful word. The neurology has it already built in as a few qualities. Number one, it loves itself. So you need to have self-love, enough sleep, enough food, enough eating, enough energy, improve your mind. That's self-love. Then you need to have love, which means I have your best in mind. So it's unselfish and egoless. Very strong place to be, and very mature and very powerful place to be. Then we need to build another building stone, and the build from the side to the middle is over here is commitment, and commitment means I'm committed to, I'm committed with, and I'm committed for. And if you don't have that in a relationship, then this whole top part just topples over. The other thing is, how much trust and respect have you got? I can watch a team in action for 7 minutes, and I'll tell you whether this team are successful or not. And the major ingredient is, does everybody have trust and respect for each other? Way in which you speak to each other, way in which you honor each other. And then, of course, there's off the top, where the leaders are treated like whatever, demigods, and that's toxic. Then our communication needs to be focused and clear, and then we need to have engagement that's taking place. So we build on values. We've got rules of engagement that says, how do we do this thing called relationship when things are going right? And how do we do this thing called a relationship when things are going wrong? I want you to take a moment, I'm going to give you 60 seconds, and I simply want you to breathe, and I want you to focus on that circle as you breathe in and out for 30 seconds. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Just stay focused on that circle. Breathe in and breathe out. Go soft focus now. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Just be pensive for a moment. Now I'm wondering, what's the one thought that you will write down now? And what's the one question that you will write down after you've focused? And what's the one feeling that you have right now? And while you're writing, this is neuroscience in action. It's neuroplasticity. So we train managers to be neuro team coaches, and you need to interrupt the mind with short little exercises so that absorption, that reflection, that integration takes place. Otherwise, you think that 45 minutes, I'm going to show you in a moment what happens when you just communicate 45 minutes non-stop. The brain goes into self-destruct mode. Mind goes into self-destruct mode. Here's another model, and I am a master imago relationship coach. And imago says that You have a relationship within this place called space. It could be a platonic relationship. It could be acquaintance, friends, professional, where we are right now, a couple, a family, but also with yourself. Basically, it says that here I am. I have a space or a bubble around me. I have a fenter trailer, and in that fenter trailer is a little boy or a little girl. You see them on both sides. And the reason why, the main reason why we have miscommunication, disconnection, power, negative power within the force field is because this little child has never been instructed to grow up, and they're constantly, this little child, based on attachment theory, and that's another story within itself. It's psychology, but it's also neurology, is the one that starts all the programs. That's the little one that pouts. That's the little one that wants their way. That's the little one whose ego switches on. Nobody sees me. Nobody cares for me. Nobody loves me. Nya, 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 nya. Grow up. So here we are in our little circle, and that's called my reality. And you better believe it, everybody's circle is their reality. I'll fight for my reality. Now, when I have connection, which is we and us, with someone else in a team, they also have a fenter trailer. And their past pops up everywhere because they haven't dealt with it, and they're not aware of it. They're unaware of it. So they just allow the past to be and to come and to mess up and to do all of that stuff. So we've got to have an objective in this relationship. We've got to have respect in this relationship, and we've got to have maturity. I was coaching a couple that were over 70 years of age. They were married for 50 years, and they were talking like, you know, let's separate or divorce. And I got to the place where I don't think any counselor can go to, but I did. I just went there anyway. And I just said to him, you know what? Are you honestly going to throw away 50 years of interpersonal experience and relationship? What are you going to do? Are you going to now remarry and find someone else, find younger? Because you're going to take this little fenter trailer with you wherever you go. And I had to be harsh and very brutal with them and go, please grow up. And the next time you are arguing with each other, someone needs to go time out and ask this question: where on earth is this stupid argument taking us? And the moment you name what is in the space, it loses its power. And as a leader in your team, when people are their ego is coming up, you just need to say, go, stop, can we just have a time out? Let's just ask this question. If we continue as a team in this direction, with this momentum, with this attitude, with this energy, where are we going to go? We're going to go towards our solution, which is there, or we're going to go anywhere, which is spiral. So let's just take a breather and let's grow up and let's focus on the solution and go, let me add to the solution and not to the problem. So in this space, Imago says, and it's the most difficult, it must not have judgment. You'd rather have curiosity and inquiry. In this space, you can't have criticism. You've got to go into observe mode. And all of this takes maturity and respect. You cannot shame people. You've got to go into affirmation and helping. You can't blame people because then they fight and go negative and they run away. What you need to do is let's question this together. Negative, you don't want to go negative because you want to have reality and optimistic and not toxic positivity. In every way and every day, we're getting better and better. Nonsense. Negativity is, or toxic positivity around every cloud is silver lining. I'm going, if it's a gray cloud, there's electricity in there called lightning. Afrikaans has got a lovely word, bliksem. And that's what will happen if you go and stand under a tree or stand outside. So every cloud with a silver lining has got a bliksem in it. So you need to be aware of that. And then dumping. I just dump stuff because I had a bad time with my family and wife, and my finances aren't working, this not working, and I dump everything into the space. I bring that to work. And that's immature, and you've got to stop that. So we got to go to collaboration, toward and solution, but there's got to be someone who is aware and you can call it out and go, enough already. So here you can rate yourself when you get the notes out of 10. Where are you there and where are you there? If these are more than that, you're in trouble. And so is your team. So now let's look at the new model called neuroplasticity, where I literally train people in businesses to become a neuro team coach. So you coaching not the stuff that psychology teaches us, but you're coaching the stuff that really matters. So remember, neuroplasticity is from a place of knowing, my collective wisdom, skills, knowledge, experience. Now, that gets triggered. It agitates a thought, then it agitates a question, then it agitates either positive or negative energy that goes with that. Then it creates an emotion, which is either positive or negative. Then it creates a decision. And those two, if they're both negative, will create a very poor decision. Then you create an action. That action is going to have an impact. Automatically consequences are going to come up against you, and then you decide whether I'm going to react or respond or reflect. And to reflect, that takes consciousness. So we've got to be aware and conscious and be our own witness in our teams. You've got to witness what people are saying, why are they thinking, and there is not a guessing game. You ask the damn question. Tell me, what are you thinking about this project? What two thoughts are there? What's a question that's coming up that you think needs to be asked about why it won't work? Or no, what's the reason why it won't work? Don't use why. So we've got to become witnesses in terms of what do we see, feel, hear in our teams, and become aware of that rather than going, let's just try and manage our teams by psychology and sociology and all those other nice academic things which are immeasurable. You can't measure them unless you're qualified psychic or a qualified psychologist. And I was a counseling psychologist, so I come from counseling. So I can critique that very, very strongly. So my brain is simply a hard drive. My brain doesn't think. My brain doesn't feel. I'm not my brain. My brain doesn't have emotion. My brain doesn't have energy. My brain does nothing. It's simply the hardware of a computer. It allows the DOS program of neuroplasticity, which contains energy, 7 energies, which we can measure in the brain when we put EEG mechanisms on people's brains. We can measure your energy and aura by taking a particular photograph of you, and we'll be able to pick up your aura. We can do photographs of leaves and trees. They've got aura. Everything has got aura. Everything has got energy. Now, this is simply hardware. So say at any given point in time, 1 million pixels, tiny little pixels, in between 1 and 5 seconds, impact our brain through our 8 brain languages. See, feel, hear, smell, taste, vestibular, which is direction and movement, and towards and away from, and then meaning and connection. Meaning, and then there's connection, which is another brain language. If you write on a flip chart just words, then that's only auditory. You're using one of 8 brain languages, and therefore you're limiting people's attention. We think if we can just fill a flip chart with a whole lot of words, we're getting somewhere. That's visible. It's not visual. This is visual. Why? Because it's diagrammatic. It's got color. There's movement in it. You can see you move from there to there. Then over here is the basis of all of that. But in this brain, in our neuroplasticity, inside of our neuroplasticity, we have 13 brain intelligences: analytical, musical, spatial, self-intelligence, other intelligence, cultural intelligence. There are 13. You can read them up. The brain allows the neuroplasticity, and there are 8 languages through which we interconnect with the world, and through 8 languages, that's how we decode memories. They go into little pixels, and our neurology decides how and where it's going to store. So right now, my 100 billion neurons are working with you across the field of energy around this Zoom, and we're having a party. So your 100 billion and my 100 billion are deciding which ones are now listening and which ones are coming to the party and which ones are connecting. That's called intelligence. Now, there's a preference. So some of you who love visual, love this. Those of you who are auditory oriented go, dear God, this man can scramble. Just look at all the stuff. It's all over the place. And does his mother know that he's filling all of that information on one page? So our consciousness becomes primed through preferential. And the more I do it that way, the more myelination takes place. So it's like plastic over an electric wire, and it protects it so that energy can't dissipate. And that's why habits are hard to break, because we have myelinated neuro programs that fire and wire together. Then we've got 20 cognitive biases, 24 filters that sound like big picture process, detail, towards, away from, etc. Then we've got 12 thinking levels. Then we've got 7 logical levels. And so by the time that million pixels goes through all of this, the intelligence itself, the neurology, the neuroplasticity itself, distorts, deletes, generalizes, denies, and then files. And guess what stays over from 1 million is 137,000. Now, those of you who are mathematicians can quickly type in the chat box. So 137,000 over 1 million is how much percent? So if someone can just type that in, you're mathematical, and I applaud you, and I'm giving you a standing ovation. I'm excited, and just let us know what is the percentage. So if Tony, if someone is going to be helpful in the chat, just to type that in, just shout it out for me so that I can get it. I've had it, but I want to be 100% sure. And that is what we store. The residual is what we store in memory, and then we put meaning to it. But of course, when we generalize and delete and distort, that distorted information goes into memory, the generalized information goes into memory, that which we deny also. So all of this stuff goes into memory anyway, and there are 7 different kinds of memory that are within our neuroplasticity. So when you finish your team session of 45 minutes, if you haven't given neurology breaks every 19 or 20 minutes, where you say to people, take a deep breath, put your pen down, breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now I invite you for 30 seconds to focus on that brain and to focus on this list over here and understand that it's a million pixels every 1 to 5 seconds that are going into our neuroplasticity, into the brain, not into the brain itself, but into the neuroplasticity within the brain. All the hardware does is facilitate Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., etc. That's personality. Those programs are called personality. But the ones and the zeros is the DOS program. Focus on that now, and I just want to focus on understanding. Let me understand. I'm not focusing to learn. I'm focusing to understand. Has somebody given us the percentage there? Mario, just read what that is.
13.7%.
There you go. So your 45-minute sermon that your minister preaches, you only going to, if you're lucky, and if he is very good at what, or she's good at what she does, you will only be able to retain 13.7%. And we don't know, with a period of 6 days afterwards, it goes down. So that doesn't get good. But if you take 20-minute breaks and you put a 2-minute break, then you're giving the neurology an opportunity to file, because that's how it works. So the moment you start a conversation, make sure that you put a timer on, and every 20 minutes, and that's how we train neuro coaches in businesses. So that's how information goes through. So where does this disturbance in your communication come from? Tra-la-la, that's where it comes from. Because everybody's interpretation here is different. But we can control it through neuro team coaching. You can coach the brain to focus on what you wanted to think about. So there's the neuroplasticity once again. So in good connections, we have what is known as neurotransmitters or chemicals. And I guess you've heard them, the people who brag about the fact I've read an article on neuroscience, and therefore I'm a specialist or an expert. Watch out for them. X is a has-been, a spurt is under pressure. So whenever a speaker says, and as science says, and whatever, go, could you please tell me what is the white paper that you are quoting from, and which peer review journal are you quoting from? If they look at you like that with wide eyes of a bunny in a road looking at an approaching car with headlights on, then cancel out. That person is not an expert. They wish they were. So serotonin is a good neurotransmitter which creates good mood and social. Oxytocin creates bonding. So when you get your team to join hands, when you get your team to do a few physical exercises together. So here's one: put your left hand on the nose, cross over, touch your ear, clap, right hand on the nose, opposite. Do that. So try that, and let's do that together quickly. And left, and left, and right, and left, and right, and left, and right. Some of you are hitting each other's faces. Stop. You're going to hurt yourself. If we're doing exercises like that together, we have a bonding that takes place. Our heart rhythms will be the same. Our brain rhythms will be the same. So you can have what is known as collective consciousness, which is biologically measurable. Dopamine is pleasure and reward. You only get that when the neurology creates those chemicals, and endorphins is when you have achievement and connection. What's interesting about endorphin is that it contains some of the particles of DHA, tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the good part. So you have a chemist in your own brain to create your own wonderful moods. Now, when there are inhibitory neurotransmitters, and they stop things, and the main two are cortisol, which creates stress and tension, and stress and tension not being paid attention to with looking after yourself with food and sleep and exercise and cognitive meditation, you can land up in hospital with what is known as an amygdala shutdown. So it shuts down breathing, it shuts down oxygen to your body, shuts down life. Then you have norepinephrine, which is your fight, flight, flee, freeze, or hide, or passive aggressive, and fellowship. So when we're under stress, we tend to gather a group. So you'll find people gathering together, going, that was not nice, the manager's not doing well, and they skinner. And that's a natural neuroplasticity thing within us. And all this negativity inhibitors only do one thing. They increase the brain fog, the tension, and the misunderstanding. I'm going to show you 3 hacks, but this is where the special comes into it. The first 5 people that send me their email now will get a huge discount. So I'm going to send a video where I will coach you on this hack, which is called How to Create a Game Plan and Awareness with Your Team. And you'll create all of these things here: engagement and commitment and being, and I'll coach you exactly how to do that. And you can go and do that exactly as I've coached you in the second video. The first one you're getting free, which is this one. The second one is a coaching video. Here's another hack, where it's a hierarchy of relationships and a connection of relationships, where you measure the fog in your relationships, the frustration, the ego, the defense, the energy, the connection, the thoughts, the questions, emotions, the blame games and excuses. And I will coach you how to do that. It's going to be an amazing hack that you can work together with your team and get them in on board, and you have connection, and you'll have all of those wonderful, wonderful, wonderful neurotransmitters that work positively together for you and with you. And then the third hack in the follow-up video that you will register for and pay for is a hack called alignment, of where you look at how in this force field, what's the impact of the stresses? Are we going there? And this hack is called How to Have a Crucial Conscious Conversation. And it's based on those items, and it's based on those. So I'll be able to coach you. So here's the deal. The first 5 people, and this second video that you'll receive is around about a 2-hour video, and 2 hours of coaching will, if you had to come to me for coaching, you'd be paying around about 3,000 Rand per hour for the coaching. So there's 6,000 Rand. But I'm offering you the first 5, 1,250, and you'll get this coaching video, and you'll be able to apply these teams with immediate, these hacks into your teams with immediate effect. And then email 6 to 10 and onwards, you will be paying 1,460. And the email is bill.price@me.com. And I promise you that when you invest that little money, it's less than a third. I'm crazy giving you this, but as I said in the beginning, you're important to me and you're valuable to me. So take the next step. Don't go, oh, it was a nice seminar, at least I didn't get heeltemal nar, and go, I don't need this in my life. If you're a leader, you need this. And it's part of becoming a neuro team coach, because I'll show you how to work with the neurological reality of people rather than just with the psychology of people. Grab hold of it now and send your email right now. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. When you say yes, that's what you're investing in. And oh my goodness, it's less than 4 pizzas for you and your team. How ridiculous is that? But I love you and I think you're special. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Bill. Great, very interesting, as always, thought-stirring, challenging. Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We really appreciate it. I will be writing to you shortly with details of the recording, as well as...
and could everybody, before they go, Tony, just write a comment? What were the 2 things that I learned? What is a mind shift for me, so I can just get a feel of how the impact of this was, so I can then know how to align and adjust the coaching videos for the follow-up session. Thank you very much for that. You would take some time, and Tony will give you some time, even although it's 46, 48 minutes. Let's just take a time and just type in so that I can read what happened on the inside. Love to hear that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Paul. We'll just give it a moment. People, thank you very much. Please feel free to leave. I'm going to end the meeting in a few minutes' time. Some of the things that are being said, I learned about a new model of thinking, thought-provoking, powerful. The focus breaks are a valuable tool. No whys anymore. The word why is out of my vocabulary. Bill, in my spare time, I organize all-in wrestling, and I'm going to organize a bout between you and Simon Sinek. Just let's see who's going to prevail there.
I've been dreaming for that day.
Thanks. This is a powerful session. I need more of it. The neurological model of approach is fascinating. The bigger picture is fantastic. Thank you. From Selma. Fazila timeout a must. I'm sure there'll be more. People, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch shortly. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Ansel, wow, we'll now implement the focus breaks. Great. Bill, you gave us a lot of useful hacks, as you call them, and I'm sure we're all going to remember them. Thanks so much. See you. Bye.